All right, I want to do this guns in America thing. It's a little complicated now. Emotional subject, obviously. So, I had another terrible situation in Colorado. And I'm going to give you some stats. And I always suggest that you watch this program with a pen and paper. Stats are important. So, we have 10 dead in Colorado. This Syrian guy comes in with a rifle and shoots him down. That's coming off last week in Atlanta, where you got this 21-year-old emotionally disturbed guy shoots down a bunch of people in Asian businesses. Okay. So the FBI keeps very exact stats of so-called gun crimes, all right? Crimes committed by people with guns. So 2019, last stats available, there were 10,258 gun homicides. 10,258. All right? That was 74% of all homicides. Remember, we live in a country of 330 million people and another 11, 12 illegal aliens. All right? So 350 probably, with tourists and stuff like that. So again, 74% of all homicides in the year 2019 were caused by people using firearms. Mass public shootings. That's Colorado and Atlanta. What percentage of it, you think? Mass public shootings, 2019. 0.2%. This. Okay? Now, they get big headlines. And they're horrible because a random shooting isn't like drug gangs shooting it out. You know the difference. It's people in a grocery store and all of a sudden they're dead. Okay, but 0.2%. That's it. Now that number was from 2018 from a study by the University of California, Davis. Very liberal school. So keep that in mind when I run this down for you. So Joe Biden immediately exploits, all right, maybe that's too harsh a word, the Colorado killings. And I want to ban assault weapons, and I want to ban magazines, and I want to do background checks, whatever it may be. Now, reasonable people, not people who are blinded by emotion or ideology, but reasonable people can sit down, and I believe in this country could come up with public safety laws that do not intrude on the Constitution. I believe that. But now we can't do that because the polarization between the conservative, traditional gun owner and gun supporters and the left is so big you can't breach it. So the progressive left wants to ban all guns in private hands. Maybe they would give you a hunting rifle, maybe, all right? But all handguns, all heavier weapons, no. That's what the progressive left wants. Conservatives understand that. All right, they understand that the liberal people don't want a handgun in the hands of private citizens. Now, the conservative right believes that the government is generally oppressive. The federal government is oppressive and a threat to them. All right? They want smaller government. That's what conservatives want. They don't want to be told what to do by the government. And they understand that the Second Amendment gives them the right to defend themselves. Now, most people defend themselves with a handgun or a rifle. But some want the ARs, the bigger weaponry. And that's where the debate should lie. Okay? But that's not the debate, because the right and the traditional people aren't going to give an inch because they don't trust the government. Oh, if we give them this, if we make the ARs you have to register them, or they're banned or whatever. Then the next step is the handgun. That's the slippery slope. The left basically says, we don't care what you Neanderthals, deplorables think. We want a major overhaul in this country where the federal government calls all the shots, not the states, all right? The feds, all the shots. What protection you can have, how much money you can have, that's what we want. So you see, the two forces are so far apart that neither of them are going to give anything. So you're not going to get anything done. Now, Biden said, I might do an executive order. He can't. So Anthony Mason, aforementioned CBS correspondent, asked Kamala Harris, is the president going to do an executive order limiting guns? Harris wouldn't answer. Because he's not. Because 20 minutes after he did that, a federal judge in Texas or Florida or Wyoming or wherever would say, you can't do it, I'm blocking it. Biden knows that. The only way we're going to get any kind of change in the way that guns are licensed is if Congress makes a new law. And as I said, reasonable people can come to some public safety conclusions. But we're not talking about reason now. We're talking about a titanic struggle about how this country is being run. And that bleeds over, pardon the pun, into the gun crime area. One final thing. Most of the gun crime, as I just proved to you, are criminals killing people for money, for drug turf wars, for holdups, for assassinations, for extortions gone wrong. That's what most gun homicides are. The federal government won't do anything about them. And Chicago is the best example. For decades, we have had tens of thousands of African Americans killed or maimed by guns. And who was wielding the guns? Other African American criminals. That's who. Have you seen anything from the federal government? Any kind of mitigation there? No. I told you that Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, is the worst governor in the history of this country. And the mayors of Chicago are ridiculous. A 7-year-old could do a better job than that. But unless the federal government says, and this is Congress, we're going to make all gun crimes federal crimes, and if you have a gun in the commission of a crime, any crime, you get a mandatory 8 years in a federal penitentiary, on top of what other crime you did. Now, if the federal government would do that, and certainly they should, all right? Because any criminal with a gun is a deadly threat. It's a deadly threat. You have no right to commit a crime with a gun. And the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago, they're not going to do anything to you. They arrest guys all day long with guns, gang members. They're out the same day. They don't care. They want to take the guns away from the law-abiding people, but they won't do anything about the criminal element. But if Congress would say, okay, in addition to banning the ARs, we're going to slap on mandatory federal prison terms for any drug guy with a gun or burglar with a gun or robber with a gun, we're going to do that too. Because that would bring down the gun homicides. Right? Yes, I'm right. Then the conservatives would say, all right, you're trying to deal with the problem in a fair way. Because nobody wants armed criminals roaming around. Right? But no. If I submitted tomorrow to the Democratic Congress, to Pelosi and Schumer, what I just told you, please federalize all gun crimes and give them mandatories, the criminals who commit crimes with guns, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. In fact, in Chicago and New York and LA and other places, they're letting these gun criminals out. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, no. No, their ancestors were slaves. Oh, we can't. Oh, it's not their fault. So conservatives and traditional Americans are not going to compromise, knowing that it's a sham. Congress doesn't want to stop gun homicides. It doesn't. Biden would never get behind what I just told you. Trump didn't. Obama didn't. Bush the younger didn't. Bill Clinton didn't. None of them will. We can wipe this out. All right, I have my say. Bill@BillO'Reilly.com. You want to disagree, and don't be a nut when you write to me, please. Just, if you disagree, I love that. But don't be alone.